we were leaving the comedy club one time, and there was this truck that was following us. And we didn't notice, but my friend Mal, he was driving, and he was like, hey, I don't want to alarm anybody, but this truck has been following us since we left the club. Every lane he would switch in, he was like, I've been switching lanes. He's been following me. And so we exited. We were going to get food before going to the hotel, thank God. So we weren't like pulling up to our hotel. And we pull into this driveway. The truck follows us into the fast food restaurant. And we're in the drive-thru, and then he parks. Then he gets out of the car and starts walking towards our car.
Big Boy's neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. She is back in the neighborhood. Anjelah Johnson-Reyes in the neighborhood. Welcome back to the neighborhood, Queen.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Reyes, huh? You put it in professionally.
Yep, I put in my married name.
I heard
11 years later.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I think he's earned it.
Yeah.
Let me just hyphenate.
I think he'll be here. You know?
He had to prove to me that he was sticking around for the long haul.
Oh, yeah. And after 10 years, you're like, all right, here it is.
Yeah.
What made you add it to it professionally?
My book. When I was coming out with my book, I was like, okay, because in my brain, I was like, okay, when my acting career pops off, then I'll add my married name. But if I'm just touring stand-up, I don't want to confuse the fans. Let me just keep Anjelah Johnson. And then my acting career never popped off. So
like how you wanted it to.
Yeah.
Like how you wanted it to.
How I wanted it to,
right.
Exactly. Thank you. And so I was like, all right, well, then my book was coming out. I was like, well, this is a perfect opportunity to not rebrand myself, but kind of. And so when my book came out, then I added in my married name.
Why did you write the book?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm a storyteller.
See? Yeah,
That's what I do.
I was about to say the same, because even with the comedy,
yes,
it's like you get on stage and you talk to so many people.
Yeah.
And when I wrote my book, I was like, I can have all these conversations. I can see people in the mall. I can see this, but I can't have this conversation with everybody.
Right.
It'll take a long time.
Right.
You know, so.
And then same thing like with radio, you got to cut the fat. You got to get to a commercial break.
Yeah.
And so in stand-up, we have to cut the fat because we got to get to the punchline. So you have people in the audience, they want you to get to your punchline quick. And there's a lot of stories that I had that had really juicy details that you really need to hear to really visualize where I was at the time and what I'm doing, what I'm feeling, so I can take you on a journey. And a lot of times stories that I'm telling, they aren't just a happy ending story. Like there's some like dark moments, some low moments.
There's
like,
no punchlines.
No, you're going to feel all the emotion. You'll get a punchline, but it'll be like a dark moment, dark comedy. You know what I mean? And so there were stories that I had that did not work for stand-up. And I remember trying a couple of them on stage, and I'm like, no, this doesn't work for stand-up. I said, I'm going to save this for a book one day, and I'm going to write a book. And so about 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago now, I started this document on my computer. If I ever wrote a book, these are the stories that I would tell. These are the chapters that I would have. And I just started making this document on my computer. And then 2020 came and it was like, you know what, it's time to write the book. And so I started writing the book and here it is.
Is it crazy that you let people in that much? Because being on stage, you know, you let a lot of people in. But then when you go to write your book, it's like, okay, I'm peeling back layers.
Oh yeah.
I'm letting people know my vulnerabilities, whatever it may be. Did you ever go into like, do I really want to allow people in this close? Yeah.
After I wrote it, and then I would go back and read a chapter and I'd be like, ooh, do I really want to say this?
Right.
Ooh. And then there was some jokes that I wrote about people that even though I didn't put their name in, like guys that I had dated and stuff like that, even though I didn't put their name, there were some things that I had said that almost made me look bitter, made me look like I was still holding on to some stuff when I know I'm not. But I was like, oh, but that's such a good punchline though. But it's so funny. And it's like, ooh, Mo did you.
Right.
And you don't get to do nothing about it. You know what I mean?
Write your book.
Exactly. When your book come out,
then
go ahead.
You can write it your way.
Right. And then, so I remember going back and taking out certain jokes and being like, oh, this is so good. But like my spirit.
Right. He wouldn't allow you to?
Exactly. My spirit was like, nah, girl.
Yeah. Like you're in a different place.
Uh-huh.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Yeah. And sometimes even with that, when did you know that it was time for you to kind of get out of your own way? Because you know how sometimes it's like, oh, there's more, or do I want to get this out? When you just say, you know what? I got to put it out. I got to release it.
So I feel like when I was writing my chapter about my dad, there was definitely some questions of what needs to be said and what doesn't. And
as a protection?
Yes.
Right.
As like, I want to protect my relationship with my dad. And I've also learned too, I tell a lot of jokes about my dad in my stand-up comedy. And it's fun for us because we can laugh at ourselves. But there was one moment I remember years ago. I was at the merch table. This is how long ago it was, because I was just standing there at the merch table.
Yeah. And you guys meet me over here after the show. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a long time ago. And my dad was at that show, and I did a bunch of jokes about my dad. And he's loved them, laughed at them, like can laugh at himself. And we're at the merch table, and I said something, hey, Dad, whatever. And then this lady was like, oh, you're the cheapskate. Because I was talking about my dad being cheap and frugal. And I could see my dad's face like kind of drop, like he was embarrassed. And I was like, lady, like, you don't get to say this. Like, I do, like, not you, like, rude. And so after that, I was like, okay, there's probably some jokes. I don't need to tell every joke about my dad being cheap. Like, let me like rein it in a little bit. And so when it came time to writing this book, there was part of me I wanted to protect him. But also at the same time, I wanted to tell my story.
You got to tell your truth as well.
And it's my truth, like you're saying. And so it was a balance of what needs to be said, what doesn't need to be said. And I remember talking to my dad and telling him, okay, I'm going to send you this chapter. I let him read it before I released it. Because if he had like issues, like major issues, and was like really upset, I would take stuff out. It's not necessary.
Did he ask you to take
for me
anything out?
He didn't even respond to it.
Really?
That's my relationship with my dad.
Did he read it?
He did.
Okay.
But the only reason why I know he did is because he told somebody else that he did. He didn't tell me. So I called him. I told him I'm writing this chapter. I did the whole therapy sandwich, positive, negative, positive.
Yes,
I was like, I'm so grateful that you're my dad. You taught me so much, although there was a lot of trauma and I experienced a lot of this, but I'm so grateful, blah, 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 blah. I did the whole therapy sandwich. And then I was like, so I'm going to send you this chapter to read before I release it. And he said, okay. And then like a few days go by and I didn't send it to him because I was nervous.
Right.
And then he sends me a text and he's like, hey, you going to send me that chapter? I was like, oh, so he's waiting for it. Like he knows, like he wants to read it. So I was like, okay. And then I send him the email, never hear back from him. A few days go by and I call my mom. They're divorced. I call my mom and I'm like, should I reach out to him? And she was like, give him some time. Like let him process it. And I'm like, okay, a whole week goes by. Still haven't heard from him. Then I talked to my aunt, his sister, and she was like, oh, she didn't even know I was writing a book at this point. Like, but she goes, oh, your dad said something to me, like you got something wrong in your chapter, like he's still good at math, or like he made a joke about the chapter. And that was his way of telling me he read it. He didn't even tell me. He told his sister, and his sister told me, oh, your dad told me to tell you something about your chapter. And I was like, oh, so he did read it. Okay. Well, I guess if you don't have any issues,
have you had a conversation about the chapter since then?
No.
And the book is called Who Do I Think I Am? Stories of Cholo Wishes and Caviar Dreams. And it's crazy because at the moment, I didn't read the book and I'm a reader. So what I want to do whenever you come back out here, I really want to sit down with you about the book as well.
Let's do it.
Yeah, like for real, for real.
I always wonder if my dad read it too. I don't know if he did or not. When it came out, he did not message me. He didn't call me. He didn't say congratulations. He didn't say anything. None of that. Like, damn. I got none
But is that
of
your dad's? Is that his, like, personality as well?
Oh, yeah. That's what I talk about.
So
he's never been able to say, I'm proud of you or any of that.
Right. Okay. So.
And then I reached out to him one day and I was like, hey, did you see my book came out? And his response, I still can't tell if he was being funny or very pointed, because the chapter about him, I say, from my dad, I got my royal inheritance. Spoiler alert, it's rage. And that's my chapter about my dad. And when I asked my dad, I was like, hey, my book came out. Did you see? And he goes, yeah, I hear it's all the rage.
Wow. You know, why would that word be the one?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm like,
yeah, like, okay, you got it. You know what I'm saying? So, Anjelah, preggers,
Yeah, can you believe it?
Congratulations to you, queen.
Oh my God.
How far along are you?
4 months.
Oh, what has that journey been like?
Very interesting. Everything's brand new to me because I'm 40 and I didn't want kids for the longest time.
Man.
And all of a sudden in the 9th inning, I was like, you know what? Let's give it a go.
Yeah, might as well.
You know? So everything is new to me because I didn't bother learning any of this stuff or asking questions to my pregnant friends because I didn't care. Right. Like it wasn't something I wanted to experience. And so it's funny when I started like first trimester with all the nausea and just the exhaustion, like all the things that I didn't realize, I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad that my friends who have all had babies, like I was not empathetic towards them at all. I did not care.
Suck it up, girl.
You know,
Yeah.
I was like, well, how come you don't want to come?
Right.
Like, you know,
It's like all those times that someone told you, oh, well, you don't know because you haven't. And you're just like, yeah, okay, get it. And then all of a sudden you go, crap, I totally
that tuition. Now you got that tuition into the school of experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm learning a lot, but I'm enjoying it. I'm watching my body change. And I always wondered what that would be like for me because I've always been very petite, tiny my whole life. Like that's just how my body is. And like I didn't even start getting meat on my bones until like my 30s. You know what I mean? Like where it was actually like I wasn't just skin and bones. Like it was not cute. I was just skinny. I didn't have no booty. I had no nothing. Like just bones. It was like not cute. And so I didn't start actually getting meat on my bones until like my 30s. And so I was wondering like, okay, when I watch my body get bigger, I wonder if that's going to be hard for me. And it has not been at all. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm watching my belly get bigger, and I like it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I'm trying to like tell my husband, I'm like, babe, look at my boobs. Like, this is crazy.
How ready are you though? Because see, with me, I didn't have my first till I was 38, right? But I felt like, man, I've done so much. Like I can welcome this now.
Yeah.
You know, I've threw so many things up against the wall. I went through so many life experience. Yeah. I've learned me. Yeah. And from learning me, I can learn how to be, you know, a better whatever, better dad, better person. So I was ready for it. And I mean to anyone that have kids, cool. I don't know how different I would have been if I had a child at like 21, 25 thing. So I embraced 38, you know, and you've had a chance to build not only your career, your relationship, but just build you as a person. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much now that this child, do you know what you're having? Or are you going to do a reveal?
No, we will, but not yet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We're not going to do a big, huge party or anything like that. I'm not going to set any forests on fire.
But you would be, you know what I'm saying? But you would be the best because you've experienced so much. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that. I feel like, you know what? I've done so much with my career, and my career has always been my baby. Like, that's the thing that I wanted the most. I wanted this success. I wanted the TV show. I wanted this. And kids always felt like a consolation prize to me, to be honest. It was like, well, I didn't get my dream, so I'll have kids. Like, that's what it felt like to me. And then I just got to this point where it was 2020, COVID, where we were all home. I wasn't touring. There were no auditions. There was no filming. There was nothing happening. And I got to this place where I was like, I don't need to go back. Like if I don't book another job, I'm okay. Like, I don't want to tour as much as I have been touring. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Not that I didn't want to do stand-up anymore. I didn't want to hustle.
Right. That
anymore.
grind, that whole thing that you've been doing.
The thing that I've considered my child, that I've been babying, I was like, it's whatever. Yeah, you know? Yeah. And I never imagined those words coming out of my mouth. And then I started thinking about kids, and I was like, oh my God, did I make a mistake? Like, should I have had kids? And it was then that I started looking into it to see if this was even an option for me. Because at this point, I'm like in my late 30s. So I was like, do I even have eggs? Do I have options? Like, I had never looked into it.
How expensive eggs are now, too.
You know?
Jesus. Right. Good thing you got your eggs like 4 months ago. 5 months ago.
Stupid.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's one of those things also where it's like, I always tell people, I look at my kids, and especially when they were little. My son will be 16 next year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. And my daughter's 14.
Stop.
But I think sometimes, Anjelah, I'm like, what was I doing before you got here? Like, what was my purpose?
Right.
And then I was like, you know what? I was preparing for you. I was preparing everything for you. But I used to really, like how you said, oh, I don't want kids and, your friends. I used to really go down the shopping, like in the store, and I look down that baby aisle and I'd be like, oh, I'll never go down that aisle. I'll never buy diapers. I'll never buy Pampers. I'll never, like, it was so, and I knew I didn't want it. I used to be on air, Anjelah, and I would say, man, if I have a kid, I'm going to name my first kid Oops.
Oh, you so dumb.
Yeah, I'm going to name my second kid Accident. Like, these were jokes that I would say on air, and now I can't imagine life without them. Natalia, your little one is what, 2 now?
Just turned 2 a couple of weeks ago.
Louis is due in July.
Oh,
him and his
wow.
queen. So yeah, man, perfect
Awesome.
timing.
Congrats.
Yeah, man. So he's saving all his clothes for his little one when the little one come out. Yeah, he is so dumb, but be nice though. She said you're so stupid.
This sweater's gonna be his.
She was like, "Who did he have a baby with?" We all, Anjelah, we all found one. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, we all got somebody.
Yeah, we all got somebody. Believe that.
Hey, there's a lot of good filters on these apps. You know what I mean? They'll narrow it in for you.
Yeah, like, oh my God, I found one. How do I get to Istanbul?
Yeah, he's so dumb.
How do I get there? Do you know how you want to bring your child into the world?
Like, I know nothing. I have so much to learn. I got to get all the books, all the things, and everybody wants to give me their opinion.
Get them all, and all that is gonna go out.
That's what everybody says.
Dude, we did, like, when we had our first, we did Lamaze classes, and, we had all these books, and it was like, nah, just this innate thing.
That's what everybody says.
That just kicks in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And everything that people tell you, sleep now, do this, it's all true.
Yep.
It's all true. Sleep now, do what you're going to do this. You got to think, you already had your last Christmas without having a child.
And you know what's funny? I was telling Manny that. I was like, babe, this is going to be our last Christmas, just us.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da. And then what happens? Flights get canceled. We're stranded in Texas.
Yeah.
So
we gotta go. We gotta go now. Like, yeah.
So dumb. I was like, oh my God, our last Christmas, we didn't even get one.
Yeah,
but you know what? It's whatever. It's like the beginning of teaching us that it's not about us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah. And especially when you've been the marquee. You know what I'm saying? You've been the one lady, one mic. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and I'm telling you now, and you're gonna have it, Louis. I see it now with my brother-in-law. People walk right past them. We go right to the babies.
Yeah.
So you gonna go right to they gonna go right to the baby.
Special.
I heard that. Do you have a name in mind? And not to share with it, but do you have something in
We've
your
started
head?
a list and we're going back and forth. We have not agreed on anything yet. So we have like a list. Boy names and girl names, and then he contributes some, I contribute some, and so far we don't really have overlap of like, oh yeah, that one's good.
Oh,
like,
no.
He'll pitch a name and I'll be like, what? That's so white. Like, what are you doing? And then I'll
give
put
me
like
something.
a real Spanishy name, and he'll be like, that's so Spanish. Like what? But his real name is Jose. That's his first name. It's Jose Manuel Reyes. So he grew up and his family speaks Spanish, and they're all like Puerto Rican. They all have all the Spanishy names. I grew up Anjelah Johnson.
Right.
I've been wanting a Spanish name my whole life.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of
surprised
like,
you didn't add Reyes years ago.
I know. So I'm like putting all these like, Spanish names in there. And he's like, no, how about.
What about Milton?
Yeah, exactly. Just like hella white name, like most popular, like Zoe. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
The now names too.
Yeah.
Like her little one is.
John Matthew.
Yeah.
But that's his first name. That is John Matthew. And I always have to say that. Because some people, John. I go, no.
No, John Matthew.
John Matthew is his name. My father's name is John. My husband's name is Matthew. And for me, it was
John Matthew.
I'm putting them both together. Most important men in my life. I'm putting them right there.
And let him and tell everybody for the rest of his life, it got to run together.
It got to run together.
Like Lisa Ray, you call her Lisa. Oh man, she gonna cut you in the throat, Jack. Yeah, let it all run together. Believe that. Mona Scott Young. That's another one. You call Mona Scott Mona. You're like, all right, that deal didn't happen.
Yep.
Man, you got 2 shows out here in Los Angeles at the Will Turn, February 11th.
Yep.
You're doing what we call the double thing.
Yeah.
7 and 9:30. How do you feel about those? And I know you've been in the business, Anjelah, for a while, but the double shows, like, is that a thing where you're like, oh, after you kill one, are you like, man, I got another, or are you used to it?
Sometimes it depends. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I could just do multiple days in a row and just do one a day.
Right.
But then other times I'm like, let's just get it done. Let's get 2 in a night. Let's go on to the next city. Let's.
What
move
do you
on.
do between the shows? Like if it's a 7 and a 9:30, do you wear the same gear for the second show? Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then do you still do meet and greets after the show?
I do, but I'm not right now.
Okay. Gotcha.
Pregnancy and it's flu season and like all the things. But so there's usually a meet and greet. And if it's a city like LA, I have a lot of friends that come to the show. So it's a lot of like saying hi to my friends and agents and industry people and everybody who's come. But usually like in other cities where we don't have a lot of people, I am in my room watching a crime show.
Oh, I heard that.
That's it. I am like watching
SVU. Do you watch any like First 48 or anything like that?
Do I?
That is my thing, man.
The First 48 is my jam, and I travel
Hey, you
a
know
lot
the
with
announcer is
stand-up.
black?
No.
Yeah, man. If they
That's a
don't
great-
solve
he
a
has a good-
case within the first 48. Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, brother.
Oh, you Googled him? I didn't even look him up.
And do you watch The Circle?
No.
The person on The Circle, too, Natalia, that's a brother.
What's the circle?
Man, it's this thing on Netflix. Don't start.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
start, because then you're going to start canceling shows.
Oh, no.
To see who won the 100,000 or whatever. I don't want to even lead you down that path. I don't even want to lead you down that. Do you ever feel like the 7 o'clock show is better than the 9:30?
You know what? It depends.
Okay, yeah.
It really depends. Sometimes, because the 7 o'clock, those are the people who bought their tickets first, so they're most excited.
Yeah.
The 9 o'clock is everybody who just found out it was coming. We had to add a late show. You know what I mean?
Right.
So a lot of times that first show is like people are super excited to be there. And then sometimes the late show, people pre-gamed. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so they get a little rowdy.
Yeah.
You know? But it depends. It really depends. Depends on the city. It depends on just the vibe of the crowd. But a lot of times all my shows are great. Like I call out a really great audience.
That's
like,
beautiful.
I rarely
but people
have
love you
knuckleheads.
too, Angela.
They do.
People
I'm very grateful.
love them some Angela.
Do you get super fans that go to both shows? And you're just like, oh, just seen you.
Or people that travel I followed you from Texas.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yes. I get a lot of people that come from out of town. And if I'm doing a comedy club where I have like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will have people who were like, oh, we were here Thursday. And then now they're here Saturday and they came back and stuff like that.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Does that get scary? Or do you just take it as fan
The
love?
only time it was wild was one time in Houston, Texas. And so we were leaving the comedy club one time and there was this truck that was following us. And we didn't notice, but my friend Mal, he was driving and he was like, hey, I don't want to alarm anybody, but this truck has been following us since we left the club. Every lane he would switch in. He was like, I've been switching lanes. He'd been following me. And so we exited. We were going to get food before going to the hotel, thank God. So we weren't like pulling up to our hotel. And we pull into this driveway. The truck follows us into the fast food restaurant. And we're in the drive-thru. And then he parks. Then he gets out of the car and starts walking towards our car. And then like all of a sudden just bails and goes back to his car and he leaves. And then so we leave out of the drive-thru and then he's following us back. So we're like, we're not going to the hotel. We're going to go back to the club. So now we're calling the comedy club. We're like, hey, because there's a gate to open up and then you park and then they close the gate. So we're like, hey, open the gate back up. We're coming back. There's this guy. He's following us. And now he's being like real like aggressively following us. We're like, what the hell is happening? And his license plate was very specific. It was something about the Cowboys because we were in Texas, right? And so it was a big old truck and a Cowboys something license plate number. And so we go in the club and then we have to get like police escort back to our hotel. And that was crazy. And then so I go on my Instagram and I'm like, hey, is there anybody here following me that works for a police department in Houston? Can you look up a license plate for me? And this woman messages me and she is like, oh, my husband can look it up for you. So then she gets back to me and she tells me the guy's name. She's like, I can't tell you anything else about him, like his address or anything else, but I can tell you his name. So she gives me his name. We look him up on Facebook and we find a few different, it was a very Spanishy name in Houston, Texas. Good luck. You know what I mean? And so we find this one profile on Facebook, Cowboys fan, everything, right? And we're like, okay, maybe this is him because he was Cowboys enough to put that in his license plate. So maybe this is him, right? So we look at him, we're like, okay. And he didn't have any pictures of himself. It was just like all his car and Cowboy stuff. We're like, whatever. This was like Thursday. Now it's the last show of the weekend. It's Sunday. And I'm doing my meet and greet. And the last guy in the meet and greet comes up and he's Cowboys everything decked out, right? I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just like, whatever. It was already like 3 or 4 days ago. And he walks up and he goes to introduce himself and he says his name. And his name is the name we've been looking up. And as soon as I go to shake his hand, I'm like, ugh. And he's like, Cowboys everything. And then my friend that's with me in the meet and greet, like he's registering what's happening. And then there's a police officer, but he's like way over there. And we're like, how do we get his attention? Like, what do we do? And then, so I just like, I take a picture with him and then he pulls out this folder and he wants me to sign pictures that he has of me. And it's just like picture after picture that he's printed from the internet of me. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm just like, I'm just going to sign a couple. We got to get going. Right. And then we leave. But that was it. That was the last time. He didn't come back. He didn't follow us or anything. But I'm pretty sure that was the guy who followed us.
Yeah, it had to be.
Same name, Cowboys fan, has 100 pictures of me from the internet. Like,
Man, were you married at that time?
Yeah, this was just like
Mr.
5
Right.
years ago.
You missed Mr. Right. Damn it. Well, your marriage is working out. Yeah, but those kind of moments can be scary as well. Yeah, man. But and I say, well, at least he wrapped it in some kind of love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In some kind of love. Yeah.
Right.
Don't forget, it is going down, man. She got 2 shows out here, Will Turn Theater, February 11th, 7 and 9:30 p.m. Make sure you guys go check Anjelah Johnson-Reyes out, Will Turn Theater, Saturday, February 11th. You can grab tickets right now at Anjelah.com. Anjelah, what was your relationship with Twitch?
Oh, man. So we met on The Real Dirty Dancing. Mm-hmm. He was the host, and we were all contestants. And this was like, I don't know if it was his first like big hosting thing on his own. Maybe he had done other things, but I remember we were all very excited for him when we heard that he was the host, coming from the Ellen show.
Did you know Twitch prior?
I didn't.
Okay.
No. So, when we got there and it was kind of like adult summer camp because they had us at the real place where they filmed the movie Dirty Dancing. And so it was kind of like we had our own summer camp. They kept all of us in these little cabins and we were all right next to each other. We would go eat and then we come back, then we go to rehearsal. And after filming, we would all go to the bar or the restaurant. We would all go to one of our cabins and just hang out because we weren't allowed to like talk to people. And it was like still during COVID and stuff like that. So we really got to get to know each other on that show. And at the end of the show, when we were all done and everybody was flying home, the last 3 people left was me, Twitch, and Corbin Blue. Mm-hmm. And on that last day, we were like, we're going to go on a hike. And, the lake had dried up, so they have these hiking trails through the dried up lake. So me, Corbin, and Twitch, we went on a hike. And we were just talking about life and just like what's next for us and all of those kinds of things and just having really like heartfelt talks. And then we went to dinner and we had the best time. And we would talk about how we just laughed and laughed the entire time and like shared our hearts and shared like our fears of what's next. And we don't know, in this industry, you don't know what's next a lot of the time. And after that, we were all like, we got to do like triple dates when we get home and, stuff like that. Of course, we never did. But it's one of those where you kind of walk away going, oh my God, we're going to be best friends forever. But you don't.
Right. Life.
But life happens. Right. And it was when Twitch, when I got the news about Twitch, it really rocked my world, but I don't think it was just my world. I've noticed from watching the effect of people on social media, from people in my own family and friend group who did not know him, but they're sending me their text messages of like how they're affected by this. It kind of reminds me of, and hear my heart when I'm saying this, I know Kobe is a worldwide legend great. But when Kobe passed, you felt your own hurt, but you also felt a collective hurt of people from all over everyone was feeling a hurt, and it was in the air, and you felt it, and it was like this sorrow that was over you. And I felt like when Twitch passed, I felt my own hurt, but I also was feeling a collective sorrow of people who there was this bright light that people looked to, and all of a sudden it was snuffed out, and it was dark, and it felt like you could feel everyone's hurt. It was very heavy.
Anjelah, what did you learn from that? Because I think one thing that I learned from that was anytime I saw Twitch, happy, ball of joy, smiling, his energy. So I was asking, what did you learn from that? Because I'm pretty sure you saw the same thing that I and probably so many other people were seeing when it came to Twitch.
I feel like we can all look at this situation and be reminded that everybody's going through something. Everybody has their own issues, whether they look like they have it all together or not. We don't know anybody's mental health issue.
Right.
We don't know anybody's family issues. Like, you don't know what people are going through. Instagram is the highlight reel of everyone's life.
Yes.
And then dare you be real and post something where you're actually hurting. Then you're called out for, oh, you're trying to get attention.
Right.
Whatever. Like, no, I was just trying to be real and let you know that I'm struggling with this. But okay. So it's like social media is not a place where you get the real. You don't get that. So I think what I've learned is to have grace for people. When somebody cuts you off on the road, when somebody's being rude to you at the grocery store, have grace for them, because you have no idea what they're dealing with, what they're going through, what trauma they've experienced. And it just feels really human. Like, no one is perfect. No one has it together. We're all human and fragile. It's really sad.
Yeah, very much so, man. And that was and that's another one of those times where I knew exactly where I was at. With the Kobe, when anything that you hear, it's like, I remember when Natalia when she was like Twitch, and I was like, when she showed me the picture, you're hoping that okay, he landed a show, or maybe Ellen, they're doing something, and you get that kind of news, man. But it really puts you into where it's like, okay, I need to check on somebody.
Yep.
Or maybe I need to talk to someone.
I got a text from Lonnie Love at 7 a.m. She texted. We were on a group chat with Twitch and our whole cast, and we would just send each other, if somebody did something like, hey, congrats Tyler on Saturday Night Live, whatever, or like, hey, somebody's birthday, or we're celebrating, somebody won an award, or whatever it is. And so we stayed in contact on this text thread. And then I went back after Twitch had passed and just looked back at the times that Twitch would, out of nowhere, send us a text and be like, hey, you guys, I love you. Happy Monday. Let's make it a great week. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just was that person. And then, everybody chimes in like, yeah, you too, Twitch. Like, hey, everybody,
you found
go
out
get
via
it.
text from Lonnie?
Lonnie texted us in that text at like 7 a.m. and was like, I'm sorry, you guys, Twitch is gone. And we're like, what do you mean? What is Twitch is gone? What is that? And then I go to Instagram and just flooded with messages. A fan had sent it to me and was like, is this true?
Yeah.
And I was like, stop.
Yeah. And it's still, it's so much to learn. It's so much to learn. And there's so much more that I kind of learned from that with dealing with people as well, and getting in touch with people. And not that I was going to pick up the phone and just start calling everybody.
Right.
But those that I was like, man, you know what? I need to check in. I need to understand where this person is coming from. Even like sometimes, like you say, like Instagram is, the highlight reel, the snapshot, the let me send my representative. And that's why I don't check on people through Instagram.
Right.
I'm just like, let me reach out for this person.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Anjelah Johnson-Reyes, thank you for coming into the neighborhood.
Thanks for having me.
You're not going to do a whole like baby shower and all that. We're not obligated.
I'm gonna
I will say we're not obligated to buy anything. Yeah.
I'm going to send you my link, my registry.
as
You
you
will
should,
get that in your inbox.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you going to have a silent like delivery where it's like,
No, well, my doctor's already been like, put your playlist together and all that kind of stuff.
Are you scared?
No, I am not scared yet.
Right.
I feel like I'm taking it literally taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised that I'm pregnant. I'm still like, I'll look in the mirror and I'll be like, stop, no way. You know what I mean?
What's going on here? So what happens? Do Anjelah Johnson-Reyes, do you continue to go on the road or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm finishing up this tour. It ends February 11th in Los Angeles at the Wiltern. 2 shows. First one sold out.
You know,
Sorry.
Anjelah Johnson, Anjelah.com, Anjelah.com.
And then I have a few dates after that where I'm going to be like writing new material and like working out some, pregnancy stuff, making fun of myself because I always said I didn't want kids. And then here I am. Like every single hour special that I have a joke about not wanting kids. And then here I am. So
yeah, I saw the one that you posted recently where you were like, get away with me with that. I don't want you to rub it off on me.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
And here I am. So
I love how she said she hold her breath like,
yeah.
Ooh, that was a close call.
So yeah, I'll go on maternity leave in May, and that's when I have to stop traveling for sure. And then I'll come back in the fall and do some comedy clubs, start writing some new material, learning my new life and
living it.
Living it, yeah. I mean, listen, I can only write so many jokes about my husband, and then it's just like, come on, So.
But no, congratulations to you just on life, the success and everything that falls under that. Anjelah Johnson-Reyes, just under the umbrella. But thank you for always coming in. Thank you for checking in with us, and God willing, we'll see you soon.
Amen.
If not, we'll see you when you come back to the neighborhood. I know there's a lot on your plate right now.
Yes.
There it is, and you about to get busier.
That's right. They keep telling me babies come with blessings.
Yeah.
And I guess there's like a Mexican phrase I don't know how to say it in Spanish, but something about babies come with a loaf of bread under their arm or something like that. And I feel that. Like I was always concerned that, if I have a kid, then I won't be able to do this and that.
Right.
I won't be able to chase my career like I thought I could. And which is interesting because in my 5th hour special, I have a whole bit about that being my fear is I won't be able to chase my dreams because I'll be chasing a kid. And that I'm going to release that soon on YouTube. And that was always a fear. And it's interesting that now that I'm pregnant, I'm getting offers, like not just like auditions, like I'm getting full. Like yesterday, I was on. I'm being on Jennifer Hudson show. I'll be on Wednesday.
Man, it's a life. It's life. It's a different life, and it's lifestyle, and it's different conversations too.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm in the dressing room for this talk show, and then my manager's like, "Hey, we just got an offer for you to be a part of this movie with so and so actor," and I'm like, "Whoa, just an offer?" I'm like, "Do they know I'm pregnant?" And they're like, "Yeah, they said it's fine."
I heard that. I'm like, damn, she did this like 10 years ago. Now Hollywood's coming. This is what they want to do. But I always tell people this, man. Your career, whatever the money, whatever the this, and I'm just materialistic things, but I tell people, Anjelah Johnson-Reyes, I say, you've never fallen in love with anything faster in your life. There's no car, no check, no role, no this, no nothing that you look at your baby, you too, Lou, and you will say, man, I will kill for you. I would die and I would kill for you. And this is instant. This is the first second you see your child. You're like, there's no love like this.
I can't wait.
There's no love like this. And Louis with your little hands and your little guy with his little head. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody help me hold him.
Are you the mom?
Myra, hold the other side, please. Please hold the other side.
Get his head.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm gonna love, man, is when you're there and they try to snap that diaper on you, that first diaper, and try to put you in that little warmer, that little incubator. Like,
did you guys spank the baby too?
Yeah,
So
man.
No, not anymore.
Well, not you,
Okay.
not you. But let me. You'll have a great experience.
Gotcha,
You'll have a great experience,
I'll watch
man.
movies.
Believe that. My first one, I took a lot of pictures. I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have took these pictures. You know what I'm saying? I used to look at the picture like, damn, is this thing gonna come back? Anjelah Johnson-Reyes in the neighborhood, man. Thank you, Queen. Big Boy's neighborhood.